Call me a traitor, a cheater, whatever you want, but 2025 I thought was going to be the year of Monster Hunter Wilds winning Game of the Year, and out of nowhere, coming literally out of the unexpected, we've got Expedition 33, which is making me feel things I have not felt in years when it comes to video games. I'm only 4 hours in, and it is the best game I've played in a long time. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, classy crew, to a bit of a journal slash review slash first impression of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a new turn-based RPG which dropped a few weeks ago. And I did not have this on my bingo card, on my radar. This is like a AA game, which you've probably heard of at this point, because I only found out about it because it's been selling so well. At the time of this, recording this journal, it was over 1 million copies sold, I think, on Steam. It's only continuing to get more and more attention. I was listening to the success of it through a podcast, and I was like, you know, the last time something like this hit, I completely missed the ship, which was Baldur's Gate 3. To this day, I have yet to play Baldur's Gate 3. And so I was like, well, I don't want to miss the ship this time. This game is being talked about as a Game of the Year contender. I want to try it. What's it about? So I looked at a trailer, and it didn't reveal much. What I saw was, okay, this looks French, was my first reaction. It looks very French. It looks somewhat dark, so like tapping into a bit of that Soulsborne I might like, and turn-based RPGs, which is kind of, you know, it's nostalgic for me. I love turn-based RPGs. So I'm like, I think I can give this a try. Let's boot it up and see what it's about. So I went completely blind. I didn't do any more research. I went completely on faith. And I think that is so far the best way to experience it, because I didn't know things that people are like, well, that was in the promotional material. I'm like, I didn't watch any of the promotional material, and I don't want to spoil anything in case you have not looked at any promotional material, because I really recommend go in blind to this game as much as possible. I'm going to talk about the gameplay, my first impressions of things, but I'm really going to be very subtle and vague when it comes to talking about the story, even in the prologue. I don't even want to spoil the prologue, because the prologue almost made me cry, because I was not expecting what happened to happen. I've just been grinning this whole time. I've been messaging every friend I have, and I'm like, you need to play Expedition 33. You need to do this. This is why you're going to love it. The art, freaking fantastic. So many times, if you watch my stream, I'm annoying with how I just stop and go, oh, it's so beautiful. The art is so beautiful. I can't stop looking at the world that this is in. It is just so beautiful. The more you go, and it just keeps throwing new things at you the longer you play, at least 4 hours in. Maybe it stops after a while. The music, like within, I don't know, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, I'm already humming, like, I think it's the theme song, which is like the dun, 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 dun. It's the battle theme as well. But I think they weave it into other melodies. The music is near Automata level fantastic. Like that, when I saw my choice to purchase the game or buy the digital deluxe edition, which came with the soundtrack, I'm like, come on, I don't buy soundtracks to the game. I'm already like, I see why they bundled it. That's a really good soundtrack. This is one of those game soundtracks which is going to go on my replay list after I'm pretty much done the game, and once I really get into the story. The story reminds me a lot of Attack on Titan, and I'm going to, again, try to be as spoiler-free as possible here. So, you know, if you've watched the anime or you read the manga, Attack on Titan, it's a story where you start off thinking the world is a certain way, and it's a world with its own rules, and you don't know all the rules from the start. And there's a lot more questions than answers of like, where are the Titans from? What's beyond the walls? How does this happen? This game, eventually, like after the prologue, makes you ask those very same question of, when did this event take place? Why did this event take place? And this is definitely not a spoiler, but the main antagonist, which is in like even the description on Steam, the antagonist is the Paintress, which is, I have no idea what it is, but it is a being that the whole plot is built around having to go destroy or defeat the Paintress, who does terrible things to the world. That's all I'm left with. It's just like, what am I supposed to do? Where did this Paintress come from? Why does it do what it does? And just so many things. And the expedition. Well, the expedition isn't a spoiler either. It's the name of the game. You're going on an expedition. That's kind of the whole point of the game. You're going on an expedition to defeat the Paintress. And so the whole expedition was like, well, why are these expeditions happening beyond just like, why are they happening the way that they're happening? And again, it's really hard to talk about the story without spoiling anything, so just take my word for it. It's a really good story, and if you like Attack on Titan, you're going to love this. And to some degree, I would say it borrows a little bit from Berserk as well, which is another story I love. Specifically the part in Berserk where the first season of the anime ended. If you know what I mean, you know. And if you don't know what I mean, go watch the first season of Berserk and tell me how you feel after those 13 episodes. I think it's 13 episodes. The gameplay, as soon as you're going to see this, you're like, well, that's Persona 5. Yes, but it's Persona 5 if it had a child with the Soulsborne. And it does this in the way that, yeah, is Soulsborne a great example for this? I feel energy of Soulsborne when I play the game out of combat. So out of combat, you're exploring, and the narrative, yes, the narrative is told through cutscenes, but there's also parts in the world and things that you can look and pay attention to and engage with, which reveals more of the world, which to me, that's like Soulsborne world building. But it's not to that extent. It's not that extreme. In the turn-based, like if you're like, well, turn-based RPGs are boring for me. You just sit back, you eat some nachos or whatever, and you just hit X. Yeah, this solves that, where you actually have to pay attention to the enemy attacking you and to yourself attacking the other, because you have to either dodge or parry. It's easier to dodge than it is to parry. But dodge, so you want to dodge the attacks first to get a sense of the enemies, and then once you get really comfortable, you can start parrying. Not all enemies just do a single attack. Sometimes they do a single, double, a triple. And this reminds me a lot of the Mario and Luigi franchise, which, you know, it's all about timing, like to avoid getting damage. And it does the same thing when you're attacking. There's quick time events when you cast your skills where you have to hit A at a like right certain point to do even more damage. It's really not like that crazy. I would say the dodging and the parrying is a lot more. And the parrying rewards you. Yes, it's harder to pull off, but if you can parry every single attack that an enemy hits you with, you then go into a counter and punish the enemy, rewarding you for that risk, which is just like, beautiful, beautiful gameplay design. Just love it. And the characters, I love the characters too. So I haven't unlocked every playable character I'm with right now, but the ones that I have, so I've gotten 3 playable characters. I don't think that's a spoiler at this point, and I'm sure that there's more because on the cover art there's more than 3. But the first 2 characters are the ones that the first 2 playable characters are the ones that I really got to like connect with, and I love their dynamic. I love their art, like and how they're designed, the clothes they're wearing. I love that expedition gear, and just how they interact with each other is just so well done. And I don't know what they did with the motion capture on the face. I never comment on the motion capture but there's a subtleness to how they captured expressions on the actors that is so convincing and so good. It just makes you feel what this character is feeling. And the voice acting on top of that is so good. And what's crazy about all this is I'm learning that this game was entirely made by junior developers, people who are building their first game, led by a guy who like quit Ubisoft because he was bored. And I'm pretty sure he's fairly junior too, from what I hear. And he just like picked up all these devs online. They came together and they're like, well, we like this in our games. We like this in our game. And they like toss the best salad possible. Like it transcends salads. I will give it criticism for one thing, and that is the walk cycle, which you would think is, considering they nailed the art, the music, the story, the gameplay, you would think the walk cycle is something that they could fix easily, or at least have it look good. Especially on the women characters, the walk cycle is so awkward. Like, you know, when you walk, I think your legs go in front of each other, but the walk cycle in this game is like the legs don't like cross in front of each other. It's like they're welded at the hips and they walk almost like Lego characters. It's so silly and distracting. I had to play as the male character just for the walk cycle until I learned that the first female character that you get, her run cycle is she just floats in the air. And I'm like, oh, that's way better. I don't even have to look at the walk cycle. And I wonder if they were like, man, our walk cycle sucks. I don't want to fix it. Just have her float. Just have her float. It works. I also said, I said earlier that the game left a very French impression on me. And it does. Like, the characters, not only do they look French, they actually are French. The game takes place in some kind of weird transformed version of France. And when you start the game, pretty much it looks like there was some kind of massive calamity, and like you can even see the Eiffel Tower is like leaning and getting sucked into like some kind of nether or something. So you are in France, and even the first character you meet in the game is like wearing the typical like Parisian clothing with like a beret. I think she has a beret. Very French, and you're hearing like some French music as you're exploring France. Like, it's very French, and I think the developer is French, so good on him for putting in his roots in the game so much like right in your face. I've never played a game that was so French that I can really like think back of just being that's very French. Anyways, outside of that, let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. So I already talked about the fights. There's more, the deeper level of the fights, at least so far from what's been uncovered to me, is pretty much managing your AP points, which I think are called action points. So everything that you do in a fight except your base attack consumes attack points. So you pretty much attack the enemy to build up your attack points, and then you can unleash skills, which lets you perform like fire spells, healing, lightning, or you can shoot, just like in Persona 5, where you can just pull out your gun and shoot them. If they're weak enough, you can exploit weak spots by shooting, and if they're flyers, you pretty much have to shoot them. There's skill points, so there's a skill tree for all your characters, which let you learn new skills, which lets you customize a little bit of their build, but not that much, because there's not really that many ways you can build your character. Like, you're kind of limited into what you can pick. However, this is taken right out of a Soulsborne game. The attributes of your character you can control. So every time you level up, you get a bunch of points that you can either put into like your strength, your HP, your agility, your defense, your luck, and you can pretty much fine-tune your characters to however you want as they level up. So that's kind of cool. And also another mechanic I associate with Soulsborne is when you rest at a camp, all of the enemies respawn except for like the mini bosses and bosses. And you also have this thing which is equivalent of a flask, which lets you heal your entire party. You start the game with one, and as I've learned, you can acquire more when you find them in the field. They're rare items, but you can increase how many times you can heal outside of camp like that. Outside of like the flask, just like a traditional RPG, you can still consume your potion and use your spells to heal. So like healing out of combat and in combat is very generous in what you can do. But it's not the healing part that's hard. In fact, I came across an optional boss because, you know, in true Soulsborne nature, I know that they're going to put some optional bosses in the early part that comes with a great reward if you can overcome it. And I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm totally going to do this. And I got obliterated. Healing doesn't even help. One hit just kills you. And so the only way that you can win this is by pretty much mastering parrying and or dodging. I did dodging because it's easier. And it must have taken me maybe 6-7 attempts against this mini boss. And it was totally worth it. I'm not going to tell you what the reward was, but it's a reward that actually helps you a lot in the early game, in my opinion. And it was really fun. Like, it wasn't frustrating because as soon as I would die, the game would pretty much boot me back up like a few steps away from the boss. I could try again, and it was just like, go, keep trying as many times as you want. Like, get good at this game. Like, they don't punish you. They want you to improve, and I like that. Eventually, as you progress far enough into the game, you also reach an overworld, which is like borrowing more of the RPG side than the Soulsborne side. And in the overworld, you can still fight, you can still explore, you can still find things, but this is where like the camera zooms out, and it has a very different feel. And for me, this is when the game started struggling at some performance issues. So another criticism I'll give it right there. You can also find collectible journals, so you can find like journals from expeditions that came before you. So there's a like collectathon element in that. I've spoken to some people in my chat who are saying, oh yeah, the game's like 20-30 hours long, but I've been playing it for 60 hours because I'm trying to 100% it. I'm just like, ooh, okay, I like that. There's a lot of meat on this game for those who want it. And if you don't want it, I think 20 to 30 hours for a story-based game is a really good spot. It doesn't overstay its welcome, basically, and it's not so short that you're like, oh, that was so quick. So I just got to say, like, you know, if it's not on your budget yet, if it wasn't on your radar, all I can say is go, just check it out. Check out my stream. Check out a trailer. This is a game that I think will be talked about for a long time. I don't even know how it ends. I don't even know how it like evolves as a game. I'm just talking about the first 4 hours of the game, my first impression, and I've never felt so strongly about a game before as I have for this. So for me, like going back to the beginning, and how it compares to Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds gave me more of the meals that I like, but Expedition 33 gave me every piece of food that I've ever loved in my life and assembled it into a whole new dish. And so I'm not knocking Monster Hunter Wilds for what it is, But this game just caught me by surprise and delivered an exceptional experience that I really want to share with all of you, and hope that you can at least check it out if it's your thing. And if it's not, we're going to talk about another game you'll like, I'm sure, eventually. So I'll see you on another video, on the stream, another journal, wherever it may be. And until next time, keep it classy.